round horns, long horns, short horns, double horns, triple horns, Erebos horns, twisted horns, curling horns, antlers, crystal horns, magic horns, energy horns, pierced and jewel horns, vicious battle-ready horns. The choice is yours. Hello everyone, it's your bud. In today's video we'll be talking about possibly the best race in D&D, at least that's in my opinion right now. We'll start with the stats, then move on to some clarifications between satyrs and fauns and some more details. So, starting off, the satyrs have a number of great stats. Their ability score increases for both charisma by 2 and dexterity by 1. They have advantage on saving throws against spell and magical effects. That's any spell or any magical effects they have advantage on saving throws against. That's their best trait. Satyrs also gain a bonus of a d8 to add to their long or high jumps. Their walking speed is 35, and they can also use their horns to ram a target. And the ram is a melee weapon attack. It's +3 to hit. You have 5 feet of reach with the horns, and you can hit one target with some bludgeoning damage, and I think it's also your strength modifier. So with those stats, the satyr is slightly more mobile than humans at a walking speed of 35, slightly better at vertical movement with an extra d8 to add to long or high jumps, equipped with natural weapons. Unlike humans, satyrs have horns that they can ram and hurt others with on par with a human using a blade, at least just a regular human using a regular blade. Then giving them a bonus to charisma and dexterity makes them very appealing to someone like me who likes that playstyle. And on top of that, they have their powerful racial bonus trait of advantage on all saving throws against all spell and all magical effects. Now that is power. So you can see what made me call the satyr the best race in D&D, but before I keep going on about how great they are, let's talk more about what a satyr is. That way you'll have a better understanding. So there is a difference between satyrs and fauns, and that will change the image you have of them in your mind. The satyrs that we know in D&D are an accumulation and mix of both fauns and satyrs from Roman and Greek culture, as fauns are the later Romanized version of the Greek idea of the satyr. So satyrs are Greek, fauns are Roman. So the satyr in Greek culture was a hideous man sharing features not with a goat but with a horse, and with all the repulsive traits disliked by the Greeks, which I found described online as hairy, bulbous-eyed, and snubbed nose. So these satyrs were extremely unshy about activities that the Greeks found to be uncivilized, for example, sex and more sex. And that was the satyr, but the Romans' later interpretation was not of the satyrs themselves, but of the Greek god Pan, god of the wild, shepherds and flocks, nature of mountain wilds, rustic music and impromptus, and companion of the nymphs. Pan had goat-like features and, let's call it, a connection to the nymphs and nature. The idea of Pan was expanded upon in the new Roman fauns to have goat-like features, i.e. Mr. Tumnus.
I am the perfect combination of man, animal, scarf, and flute music. You like to stay for dinner? We're having shakshuka. No.
And a proclivity for the quiet and beauty of nature, much like the closeness seen between Pan and the nymphs. And now in D&D, there is a satyr. Well, it's called a satyr, but it has the goat-like features of the Roman faun and the lack of the horrid, repulsive, free-spirited, undesirable nature of the classic Greek satyr, at least to the quote-unquote classic Greeks. Those were all the things that they hated. So yes, our satyr in D&D is very much like the Roman faun, which was based on the Greek god Pan. So, just as the lines begin to blur in D&D, they have in history as well, with many famous and beautiful paintings that I cannot show due to copyright, showing fauns with the traits of satyrs and satyrs with the traits of fauns, sometimes showing a faun acting as a satyr would with partnership with a nymph, or having a satyr act like a faun would, being a shy, wild-spirited, but like just protective of nature and away from civilization, sort of like alone and in the still of nature. So now we have our modern interpretation of a wild-spirited and revelrous half-human, half-beast with horns and hooves. And since the D&D satyr's actually just a faun that isn't shy, we now get to the fun part, as really the choice of appearance is up to you. So, round horns, long horns, short horns, double horns, triple horns, Erebos horns, twisted horns, curling horns, antlers, crystal horns, magic horns, energy horns, pierced and jeweled horns, vicious battle-ready horns. The choice is yours. And please let me know if you have any other cool ideas for designs down below. Yeah, I mean, really, the interpretation has changed so much, so why not do that, right? So, to overview, a satyr was a Greek concept of all things degenerate. Then the Greek god Pan, god of the wild, shepherds and flocks, nature of mountain wilds, rustic music, and impromptus, and companion of the nymphs, influenced the Romans to model the faun after similar traits, and the half-goat, half-human, nature-loving beings became part of their culture and myth. Now, the one thing I failed to mention is a matter of etymology. That's not entomology, the study of bugs, that's etymology, the study of words, as you may have picked up on and become curious to the similarity between satire and satyr. So, are they connected, satire and satyr? The short answer is no, but the long answer is yes. It's confusing, just like how paintings done of fauns and satyrs can be influenced and share similar traits with each other, so too do the words satire and satyr, as the Greeks had something called a satyr play, where actors would mock all in an unrelenting performance free from repression and restrictions. As the satyrs were meant to be all that was uncivilized to the Greeks, so too their performances were mocking, leering things meant to add criticism and awareness of human nature in all its forms. Now, the French also had a similar word, satire, meaning work intended to ridicule vice or folly. This word and its meaning eventually made its way to the Roman vernacular. But in truth, the word satire, though used by the French in this meaning, came from a yet older source, a Greek style of poems called Satira that made fun of human vices. Then, sometime in the classical Roman period, the Greek word satira, meaning those plays mocking human vices, satire, the French word meaning work intended to ridicule vice or folly, and the Satyr's Plays, still remembered from the Greek who relentlessly mocked all, these words became linked and almost interchangeable. So that's satyrs or fauns, well, fauns that are called satyrs at least, whose name comes from a Greek poem style that influenced a French writing style, all mixed with the god Pan, the classic Greek satyr, and the Roman faun, and that is our modern day interpretation of what we call a satyr or a faun. So that was pretty complicated. There's the Satira, the Greek poem that pokes fun of human vices, the Satyr play that is just unrelenting mocking of society. There's satire, the French word meaning intended to ridicule vice or folly, and then there's Pan, the Roman fauns, and all of it being mixed together. And our modern day interpretation of what a satyr and a faun is just one creature. It's just one idea. So let me know down below what appearance you would choose, as the variety of which has changed throughout history, and there's no saying that our interpretation will not change again in the future. So have fun with your magic resistant, raucous, slightly irreverent, nature guarding satyr. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this, leave it a like. You can subscribe for daily videos. I make at least one video every single day, and let me know what your favorite part of the satyr was. Well, the satyr, it's called a satyr, but it's partly faun, and everything's just connected. It's all connected. So yeah, let me know down below what you thought of this, and leave any questions or suggestions down below, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.